You must be new security guard.
Can I help you, officer?
Have you met them yet?
Met who?
Them.
Emma, congrats on the film.
Oh, thank you.
Jordan Peele has one of my favorite quotes when it comes to like the horror genre. He says the only difference between horror and comedy is music. And I felt like you injected a lot of humor into this movie. And I always wanted to ask you, how do you decide how much humor to put into a film like this so that you're not tipping the scale?
Yeah, I mean, Jordan Peele's a master of that combination, and I've heard him talk too about how the timing of comedy and horror are so similar, which of course is totally true. Like landing a joke and landing a scare are really precise in terms of timing. But in terms of the combination, I think it's like project dependent completely. And with this one, we knew like the world of Freddy's was so much fun, and that without having some levity and humor in it, we'd be missing an opportunity to, bring it to life in a fully dimensional way.
Yeah, well, you totally brought it to life. And there's something innately humorous just about animatronics in general.
Yes.
And I think when the world thinks of animatronics, if you're not a fan of Five Nights at Freddy's, you're thinking Chuck E. Cheese's. And I read that you were totally fascinated by them. I was scared by the animatronics at Chuck E. Cheese's. I think it was like their big eyes and the delay in blinking. But I wanted to ask you, Emma, what do you think is so unintentionally creepy about animatronics?
Ooh, I think it lies in the space between them being alive and not alive. We are kind of controlling them, whether they've been programmed, or in our case, we had puppeteers, doing all of the animations off screen. But every now and then they'll do something on their own, or like an imperfection will just pop up, and they've got a personality all to themselves. And I think it's that like soul, for lack of a better word, that they end up inhabiting that is so eerie and amazing and wild, and at times friendly. It's all the things, and you're always on your toes because you don't know what side of it you're gonna get.
Yeah. I don't want to give anything away, but the story you put behind the souls I thought was so good. I'm excited for the world to discover that. You said puppeteering off, like, tell me more about that.
Yeah,
that sounds really interesting.
It was fascinating. The animatronics were built by Jim Henson's Creature Shop,
Right.
Who have an incredible history of building amazing puppets, and in our case, these full-size animatronics. There were, I think, Foxy at full movement capacity took like 6 puppeteers to operate. So we were, using a lot of really, really talented people to make these characters come to life in the most nuanced and detailed of ways.
It's so cool. I've been to Jim Henson's, the lot, and they put on these adult shows, and it really is crazy to see. These people are like the most talented people in the world.
They really are.
They can
puppet up shows.
Yeah, you've been. They're so funny. I was reading too that you actually got to go to the Creature Shop as they were making them.
Oh yeah.
And I was wondering, is there one day that you went there that just like stood out to you, or out of Freddy, Foxy, Bonnie and Chica, was there one that took longer or was harder to just get right?
Well, they were all kind of following a similar schedule of like design phase, prep phase, build phase. So they were all kind of coming to life together. Each one posed different challenges in terms of the specifics that we needed to get right. But I would say the first time I went blew my mind, because there's amazing puppets all over their Creature Shop from other movies and TV shows that I had grown up on, and Dark Crystal's over here and Muppets are over there, and it's just incredible. But then every time I went to check in on the process, a new part of the design or build phase was happening, so it was all exciting to me. I would say the biggest standout moment was when we came for the final show and tell, and we got these animatronics on their feet for the first time, and that was a real mind explosion moment for sure.
I feel like that's what's going to happen to fans of the video game when they watch this movie, because you guys really took the time to like get it right.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, speaking of the video game, what parts of gameplay, like what elements of the gameplay were you so excited to include in the film, and how did you incorporate it?
Yeah, I mean, just for me personally, I was so taken with how the game made me feel. Like I was just always so tense and tuned into the atmospheric elements of the game, the sound design, and the things you can't see but you know that are lurking. So as a genre filmmaker, that was just like such ripe inspiration for bringing it to the cinema. But in terms of the actual gameplay, we were working alongside Scott Cawthon, who has built this whole franchise and universe, and getting the elements of the lore really right and accurate, and the balance of how much we were including versus new story elements that we were introducing just specific to this movie were, really just needing the guidance of the creator so that we knew the fans would really click with it.
Yeah.
And that it would be what they want, hope, expect, and hopefully so much more.
I think they're gonna love that, the monitoring of the animatronics through the security cameras and turning the lights on and off. Like, I thought it was really cool. That you guys
Thanks.
included all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it really came to life, obviously, when Matthew Lillard, who I just adore, has a presence in this movie, obviously.
A big presence.
A big presence. I heard him say that he signed on to a 3-picture deal, and I was wondering, where would you like to see the sequels go, and would you be interested in directing them?
Oh, yeah, I would absolutely be very interested in continuing, building stories in this world, building stories with these characters that I now feel really not just in love with, but invested in, and, would love to see where they go. I think in terms of the franchise, if we were lucky enough to be able to continue making more films, we would just really be excited to incorporate more elements of the lore that, relate to Game 2, Game 3, and then also, as I said, just continuing these characters on a journey that feels uniquely their own, that has come out of just the world of the movie.
Nice. Can you tell us anything you know about?
You'll have to choose